So cryptocurrency and that entire space right now, Web3, NFTs, whatever you want to call it, it's all seriously struggling right now. And this is obviously coming as no surprise to you. You watch this channel, you know what's going on. But contrary to what a lot of influencers and in particular people here on YouTube will tell you, it's not going to get better anytime soon. Now, over the last couple of days, Bitcoin saw new lows that we haven't seen for 2 years now, dipping down into the $17,000 mark. As of right now, though, it has now risen and it's sitting back at around $20,000. Still, comparatively, that's an incredibly low figure compared to the entirety of the last couple of years. In short, billions and billions of dollars has been lost by millions of different market participants, and there are always those who say things like, well, just a couple of years ago, Bitcoin was only about $3,000, so why are you even complaining? When in reality, the vast majority of investors didn't buy when Bitcoin was $1,000, they didn't buy when it was 5,000 or 10,000 or even 20,000. The vast majority of market participants entered that market during the bull run itself in the region of 40 to 60,000 US dollars, which is why so many people have lost money here. Now, unfortunately for those people who have lost money, well, there's new bad stuff that's coming about. There is more negative news for the crypto market, and this time it's surrounding the cryptocurrency called Solana and that entire chain. Now, the trouble regarding Solana is about fundamentally a lack of trust and an immoral central authority which has too much power over the chain and thus everyone who is invested in that chain's assets. Now, what exactly is Solana? Well, it's basically just a competitor to Ethereum. They've billed themselves as the Ethereum killer, as have many different protocols over recent years. And in short, they're just a cryptocurrency or a blockchain system with contracts embedded, which basically means you can build apps off of it. You can make NFTs, you can build video games, you can do all sorts of different things. And so there are a lot of people who look for these type of cryptocurrencies like Solana because they have apparent use cases into the future and that might bring more value. The problem with Solana is that it is hugely centralized and it's almost entirely controlled by the people who created it and the developers who work on it today. And that is a massive problem for an unregulated market asset that's currently worth about $20 billion and in the past has been worth as much as $60 billion. Now, this has come to a head numerous times before. This article here says it perfectly. Solana blockchain halted for over 4 hours. Basically, the entire process, the entire protocol is frequently shut down by the creators, which makes it absolutely impossible to do anything on that blockchain, to transact, to liquidate, to buy or sell or trade or do absolutely anything. Now, the real problem surrounding this is that when this chain is shut down, it's done not by market consensus and not by necessity either. It's done at will by the creators of Solana because they control everything, and that means that investors can lose everything on a dime. Frankly, this alone should be enough to kill the Solana network. Its centralization is absolutely terrifying, and it's the reason that I have never gone within 100 feet of this protocol, and it's the reason I never will either. But frankly, this is all old news. Its blockchain has been shut down numerous times in the past, as I've said, so why are we talking about this today? Well, in short, Solana's price has been falling recently, like all cryptocurrencies. In that sense, it is not at all unique. There is an issue though. The creators are terrified of this one large Solana investor, a whale who is playing around with loads of leverage, and they are trying to get them to sell to reduce the risk on this network. Now, Solend Labs has the authority over this blockchain. They are the centralized authority which can control whether or not it operates. And they're supposed to be this sort of democratic organization that votes on various proposals. And they put forward their first ever vote proposal yesterday, which was basically to steal all of those assets from that whale and to liquidate those assets over the counter so as to not affect the price of Solana. Basically, they were going to take someone's assets, sell it to some random organization not on the open market for whoever knows what price, and then give something back to the whale and claim that all is well in the world. This is all under the illusion or the guise of protecting this account from getting margin called, which could then have a massive impact on the rest of the Solana network. Now that sounds terrifying as it is, right? But it was hidden under the guise of democracy. The users of Solana would have the ability to vote on this idea so they can choose whether or not it goes through. The only problem is that literally only one vote mattered because only one vote accounted for over 80% of the share. There are millions of other holders of Solana, including this whale, whose view here was absolutely irrelevant because one singular wallet had the power to decide what actually happened. Now, as I just said, this is a terrifying idea, and alone, I think it's enough to kill Solana as a whole, and actually it should be. Why on earth would you want to hold an asset where one person can just decide to steal it off you and there's literally nothing you can do about it? Cue then huge amounts of outrage all over the internet about this specific action. The fact is that no one was happy about this because everyone was terrified at the power that that one wallet held over every other investor as well. So what did they do? Well, they put in place a second vote, which would just simply overrule this first one, and that has now come and gone. And yes, it won. That first vote is now overruled, so it's not going to happen. But frankly, I think that this is too late and the damage is already done. It's a simple fact that no Solana investor is safe because their assets can be stolen under this guise of democracy that is massively dominated by a certain few participants. It is frankly impossible to fight back against this unless you get lucky and the media picks up your story and public pressure is enough to make them cave, which is what happened this time round. The reality is, though, that those who control this network, they've shown their true colors. They've made it clear that they have authoritarian tendencies and that they're happy to steal assets off of other people if it means their own assets don't lose their value. Frankly, every single Solana investor watching this video right now should be running from the hills. If you imagine that this were in the traditional finance space, if a bank just randomly decided that they were going to take all of the shares in companies that you own and then going to sell them for whoever knows what price, and then they'll give you some money back at the end. And the worst thing is that they control the money and the operating system that actually allows this to function. So there's literally no way to run away from this problem. Well, everyone in the world would be terrified and you would instantly take your money out of that bank. You would stop doing business with them. So why would it be any different with something like Solana? Frankly, I think Solana is one of the riskiest coins out there, on par with Tron, on par even with Luna just a couple of months ago. And it is the bottom of my list. It is the worst one to be holding throughout a crypto winter. As things get bad, as people get desperate, you can best believe it that these sort of systems, this sort of authoritarianism that goes absolutely unchecked, will only continue to deteriorate and people will have their assets stolen. Now, unfortunately, the turmoil for the crypto market doesn't just stop there. Of course, Celsius and that whole drama is not over either. And some people have taken to tracking Celsius's known wallets to try and find out what they're doing with their assets. And that brings me to this short Reddit post here. Basically, someone has gone through their wallets and they're tracking where money and assets are going and what they're being used for. And in short, Celsius is taking their assets and sending them over to FTX, which, as we've discussed on this channel before, is a crypto exchange, a brokerage of sorts, but it concentrates on catering towards institutions, towards large companies, towards countries, and to operators like Celsius who gamble on huge scales. Now, what this seems to suggest is that Celsius is gambling with people's money, with their assets on the markets, trying to make enough profit so that they can actually pay back their investors. Now, this is, of course, an insanely risky idea, and it is mind-numbingly stupid if it's true, but the other rumors going around are that Celsius have actually been doing this for years now, and so it isn't exactly surprising to have this come out. To be perfectly honest though, this does sound like the kind of thing that people will go to jail for, gambling with other people's money after you've already lost after gambling with other people's money, leading to a massive collapse of a $5 billion company and a multi-billion-dollar token as well. This is the kind of thing that actually white-collar professionals do get locked up for. Of course, that's not the end of the drama in the crypto sphere either. Three Arrows Capital, that other gambling crypto institution, which is supposed to be an investment firm, but in reality mostly just speculates, well, they still have their drama ongoing as well. Their founders and the people who run that company are still away without leave. They have still disappeared. They've ghosted everyone, and that's obviously not a good look either. There is no new news regarding their insolvency, but it looks like the company is going under, and in this case, no news is actually bad news. Finally then, we have the continued drama surrounding Tron and their new stablecoin, which has only existed for a couple of months now, called USDD, and you can see it here. It lost its peg just over a week ago, and at first it wasn't awful, it was only off by a percent or so, but now it's just getting worse. As you can see from this graph, its value is continuing to deteriorate. Its peg is getting further and further away from where it should be. It's becoming weaker, and this is awful for this token. The problem is that it suffers from the exact same positive feedback loop problem that Luna and Terra suffered from, and it's already lost its peg and it isn't recovering it after about a week. This is absolutely terrifying. It does seem like we're about to see another Luna style collapse. The reality is that turmoil in the crypto market is still around. It hasn't reduced just because Bitcoin is a couple of $1,000s more expensive than it was a couple of days ago. This entire market, this entire space, and the companies involved with it, they are all still incredibly risky and incredibly volatile. So I just implore you all to be a little bit careful. If you are staring at this all, wanting to buy the dip, well, I can't blame you. It's something that I will be doing as well when market conditions change. But you do need to be very careful and only invest what you're prepared to lose. You also probably ought to be investing in a smart way. Maybe check out iTrust Capital. There's a link down below in the description for them, and they let you invest through a Roth IRA, so a tax advantaged account, which can save you a lot of money in the long term. But again, it's a very risky time, so do be extremely careful no matter what action you choose. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to bless the YouTube algorithm. It really does help. If you want to join our exclusive community, then check out our Patreon. You get access to our Discord server and extra content like access to my portfolio and buy and sell alerts for all my own investments. Also, make sure to check out the link in the description to Masterworks. It can help you protect your portfolio against market turmoil through fractional shares of art from world famous artists. Art has historically proven to be uncorrelated to the markets, so it's a really valuable resource with the markets falling every week. There's also a link in the description to iTrust Capital, which helps you to invest in crypto through your tax-advantaged IRA, which could literally save you thousands. If you, like me, think crypto going down is a buy-in opportunity, then now is the perfect time to join iTrust Capital. Thank you all for watching. Stay stoic. Until next time.